Before you throw away a fishing rod with a cracked tube tip, watch this first. This damage may look serious, especially when the hollow tip section starts to split, but in many cases, the rod can still be repaired if the crack is not too deep and the blank is not completely broken. A cracked tube tip does not always mean the rod is useless. With careful inspection, clean preparation, proper reinforcement, and enough curing time, you may be able to make the rod usable and reliable again. A tube tip is the hollow part near the end of some fishing rods. This section is usually thin, light, and sensitive, so it can be damaged more easily than the stronger lower part of the rod blank. A crack can happen when the tip hits something hard, gets stepped on, is squeezed during transport, or bends too sharply while fighting a fish. It can also happen when the fishing line wraps around the tip and the angler pulls too hard. At first, the crack may look small, but if you keep using the rod, it can spread along the blank. If you continue fishing with a cracked tube tip, the damage can become worse very quickly. The crack can open under pressure, water can enter the blank, and the tip can lose strength. The rod may still bend normally when you test it lightly, but when a fish pulls hard, the damaged section may fail suddenly. That is why it is better to stop using the rod and repair the cracked area before your next trip. First, inspect the damage under good light. Look carefully at the length and depth of the crack. Gently bend the rod by hand, but do not overload it. If the tip feels soft, folds at the cracked area, or makes a cracking sound, the damage may be too serious for a simple repair. But if the tube is still firm and the crack is limited to one section, reinforcement may help. For this repair, you may need fine sandpaper, a clean cloth, rubbing alcohol, epoxy glue, strong wrapping thread or carbon fiber strip, masking tape, and a small brush. If the crack is open or the tube feels weak, you may also need a thin solid carbon insert or inner carbon core. This insert should fit inside the hollow tube smoothly. It should not be too tight because forcing it in can split the blank more. It should not be too loose either because it will not support the damaged area well. Start by cleaning the cracked section. Wipe away dirt, dust, old glue, and loose carbon fibers. Lightly sand around the crack so the epoxy can bond better. Do not sand too deep. You only want to prepare the surface, not make the tube thinner. After sanding, wipe the area again and let it dry completely. If you are using an inner carbon insert, apply a thin layer of epoxy to the insert and slide it carefully into the tube tip. Make sure it passes through the cracked section and supports both sides of the damage. Do not push too hard. Once it is in place, check that the rod tip stays straight. Next, apply a thin layer of epoxy over the crack. Let the glue enter the small gaps. Then wrap the damaged area with strong thread or carbon fiber strip. Keep the wrap tight, smooth, and even, but do not crush the tube. The wrap should cover the crack and extend a little beyond both ends, so the pressure is spread over a larger area. After wrapping, apply another thin coat of epoxy over the outside. Rotate the rod slowly while spreading the epoxy so the finish stays even. Remove extra glue before it becomes too thick. Too much epoxy can make the tip heavy and affect the rod action. Let the epoxy cure fully before testing the rod. Do not rush this step. Common beginner mistakes include using too much glue, sanding too deeply, wrapping unevenly, forcing the inner insert, and forgetting to check alignment before the epoxy sets. After curing, inspect the repair again. Bend the rod gently and make sure the crack does not open. The repaired section may feel a little stiffer than before, and that is normal. With a clean repair, proper reinforcement, and careful testing, a cracked tube tip can often become strong, safe, and ready for your next fishing trip again.